For as long as I can remember, I have wanted to become an Olympian. In 2024, I ran comfortably inside the Olympic qualifying time, albeit a little bit late. And even with my first major injury last year, that goal is still alive and kicking. But how am I actually going to make it happen? The Olympics in LA in 2028 are getting closer every single day. And when you get one shot at a dream every 4 years, you need to plan ahead. Today, I'm going to walk you backwards through my big Olympic plan, all the way from standing on that start line at the Olympics to today with 841 days to go. How and when the team is selected, understanding the increasingly confusing selection routes, the races that are hopefully going to put me on the right trajectory to peak just at the right time, the weaknesses I need to address before I can get there, and how exactly I'm going to do all of that amongst the most competitive marathon standards the world has ever seen. And the way I see it, every big moment and big decision is built up of lots of smaller decisions and smaller moments along the way. Over the next 841 days, every decision I make, every race I run, each marathon I target, and every risk I take in training could be the difference between standing on that Olympic start line or watching it from home. I like a challenge. And if you want to hear how that plan might change over the next couple of years, or if I even get close to making it, you should probably hit that subscribe button. And that way you can watch it all unfold in real time. Just an idea.
Editor Daniel here. I managed to reset the camera settings somehow and gave Phily some crazy face tune by accident. So yeah, apologies for that. Phily's face is a little bit more perfect than it usually is. I've turned that setting off now, so from next video, she won't look airbrushed. All right, back to the video.
And before we can understand how I'm hopefully going to make it to the Olympics, we kind of need to understand how you even qualify for the Olympic marathon. And unfortunately, it's getting harder. The standards for major championships, the Olympics, the World Championships are getting harder because marathon running's on fire right now. In 2024 for Paris, the Olympic qualifying time was 2 hours, 26 minutes and 50 seconds for women. That will almost certainly be faster in 2028. And we don't have the selection criteria yet as of today. And actually the selection criteria for the 2027 World Championships hasn't even been released yet by UK Athletics. If that's anything to go by, we might even be waiting until spring 2027 before we get hold of the Olympic selection criteria. However, the 2025 World Championship selection criteria from last year does offer some clues. The qualification for that championships could be done by achieving the World Athletics entry standard. That was 2 hours, 23 minutes and 30 seconds for women. And you had to do that within the window, which was the 5th of November 2023 to the 4th of May 2025. Or you could achieve the UKA consideration standard, which was 2 hours, 24 minutes and 0 seconds, together with a World Athletics World Ranking position on the Road to Tokyo list. So you get points on that ranking list based on your finish time and your finishing position in major road races. It's a little bit complicated working out exactly what points you'll get, but simply put, the higher up you finish and the higher the standard of the race, the better it is for points. The third route to qualifying for last year's World Champs would be through achieving a top 5 finish at a platinum label marathon as published by World Athletics. You've got your majors and your big important marathons across the world, or simply win a gold label marathon. We actually only ended up taking one athlete to the marathon at last year's World Champs, and that was Emil Caress in the men's race. Callie Hagar-Thackeray did qualify in the marathon, but she chose to focus on the 10K instead. No one else reached those qualifying standards, unfortunately. And that is despite the fact that 7 of the top 10 all-time marathon performances by a British female were run in the last 3 years, which might point to a potential problem we have in the UK right now, which I'll get to later on, and it could really challenge how well our team does at the Olympics. So off past selection policies, we could assume that the Olympic qualifying times for 2028 might have a window from around November 2026 through to late April 2028. A decent amount of time to find some good marathon opportunities and take a swing at it. And even without knowing the qualifying time itself, for a chunk of that window, we know it needs to be as fast as possible. Times are getting faster to qualify for these champs, and the competition is stacked. Each country can only take a maximum of 3 athletes per event. Now, unfortunately, the new Power of 10 is not up and running yet. They're still figuring out the tweaks and fixes to what didn't need to be fixed in the first place, but that's beside the point. Even without the ranking lists on Power of 10, I have done some maths and looked back at previous years. I was ranked 9th on the UK all-time list with that 2:25:47. And the reason I know that is because we have this screenshot from the video where I was recapping the race. Since then, we have seen some new players enter the chat above me in those rankings. Georgina Schweining ran 2:25 later that year. In 2025, Eilish McColgan debuted in 2:24 in London. Abby Donnelly debuted in 2:24. Jess Warner-Judd ran 2:24 at New York. And Natasha Wilson ran 2:24 at Valencia. So I think my PB would now put me 14th on that all-time list. But the crazy thing is, 11 out of those 14 women in the all-time list are still competing and are still running marathons. And there's more behind us as well. Lucy Reed, Samantha Harrison. Marathon running in the UK right now is deep. And I feel kind of conflicted about this. The rise of marathon running right now, the depth and the quality of it is both a gift and a curse. Because the faster your competition, the more they're demanding out of you as a competitor and the better you get in return. But there's also only 3 spots and there might be 11, 12, 13 women going for them. Ultimately, I have no control over what my competitors do or don't run, and I can only focus on my performance. And yes, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit intimidated how many of us will be vying for just 3 spots in 2028. But also, what a time to be doing it. It's pretty inspiring to be amongst such incredible company. One thing we can possibly hedge our bets on is that there might not be a trial race for the Olympic team. There wasn't a trial race in 2024, and we haven't used London as a trial for the World Championships in several years. However, it is the trial for this year's European Championships, so it's a little bit confusing. For the Tokyo Olympics and for earlier games, the London Marathon was the official trial for selecting the team. That meant that the first 2 Brits across the line in the elite field at the London Marathon, provided they had the qualifying time, would be automatically selected. In the US, they do something similar, and it's first 3 across the line, provided they have the time at the trials end of. And when we've used the trial system, we've taken top 2, and that 3rd spot has been up to the discretion of the selectors. But despite this being back for this year's European Championships, it does feel like UKA is hesitant to have London as the trial for the World Championships and the Olympics. And that may be a knee-jerk reaction to the 2020 Olympic team underperforming. Links were made to the very tight turnaround from running the London Marathon and prioritizing that for qualification, recovering, and then needing to build straight back into another marathon block for the champs itself. And with London being in late April and the Olympics, World Championships being a race in the summer, it's quite a tight window. The problem this could pose for the eventual team that is selected is that with all of us basically time trialing at fast races across the world, trying to run as fast as we can and collect points, but not actually racing against each other, with the exception of a British woman winning a world major, perhaps, if it's in the selection criteria, which a British woman has not done since Paula won New York in 2008, it means we're all effectively focusing on running fast races, time trialing largely even-paced races from gun to tape, and running our own races to get there. Now, whilst that may result in us taking our fastest team on paper, based on PBs, to the Olympics in 2028, the Olympic podium and top 10 finishers are rarely ranked in order of who's fastest. Take Molly Seidel winning bronze at her 3rd ever marathon at the Tokyo Olympics, or Julia Patternane taking a medal at last year's World Championships, coming in ranked 288th. Championship racing requires a different skill to running as fast as you can from start to finish. It requires tactics and honing your racing craft. It often requires making the best decisions based on the course, the conditions, the moves that other athletes are making around you, and there's a real danger that our Olympic team could be less prepared for that type of racing because the qualification route doesn't exactly prioritize it. And despite that, this is definitely something that I want to be working on in the next couple of years, because when you make an Olympic team, you don't want to just be in the race, you want to perform when you get there too. So that's the semi-clear, but still some information to be fine-tuned selection process. I'm gonna digest all of that whilst I go for my run, and when I get back, I'm gonna give you my best plan, for now, for getting on that team. The thing about being a marathon runner and focusing mostly on the marathon is you can plan ahead pretty far in advance sometimes. Obviously, the best laid plans don't always work out, but when you're training for one race, a marathon, and let's say the training block that's specific to that race takes 3 months, there's a recovery period after that, and then you can ease back in, whether you're focusing on another marathon or doing some half marathons, some road races, some track. The year starts to disappear quite quickly, especially if you're going from marathon block to marathon block. And with it being very difficult to qualify for the Olympics, I actually have a plan now. It is definitely written in pencil, and I will put money on it changing, because I just don't know what's going to happen. There may be some surprises along the way that we'll have to adapt and tweak the plan for. There may be even some better options that I don't know exist right now, but I do have a plan, and I'm going to take you through it. So let's start at the start, shall we? Right now, it is March 2026. We have 2 years and probably 1 month ish until that deadline when the qualification window closes. Qualification window is not open yet, but what I do now impacts what I do next. And if you've been paying attention in my past videos, you will know that I am gearing up for track season right now. So that's gonna start in April at some point. I'm gonna have a lot of fun racing some 3Ks, some 5Ks, maybe even a 10K on the track over this summer. And the purpose of that is to have some fun and to reintroduce racing to the system. There's a certain intensity that you just cannot reach in training that only a race can give you. And that's gonna move me forwards. That's what I did in 2024. I had a track season before then going into the Berlin Marathon training block, and Berlin went pretty well. So I suppose this year looks similar in a sense. After that track season, I'm gonna run a marathon in the autumn. I don't have confirmation what that marathon is yet, but I know which marathon I would like to do. And I like the idea of that marathon not being about running a fast time on a flat, fast course, because it gives me exposure to that racing experience over the marathon distance that I really don't have yet. All the marathons I've raced have been pretty flat, pretty fast. I've been racing myself and I've been going after a time. So I would like the marathon I raced this year to change that and to really lean into the unknown of what racing a marathon is like. Throwing any preconceptions of pace out the window and honing that racing craft. Then I want to get back to running really fast. After recovering from an autumn marathon at the end of this year, 2027 is going to be here before we know it. And that's when the qualification window will be open. So I think it makes sense to have a stab at running as fast as I can, hopefully fast enough that it is an Olympic qualifying time, but we're not going to know that until the selection policy comes out. So spring 2027, fast and flat marathon. I quite like the idea of going back to Seville, where I ran my debut. I know the race, I know it's really flat and fast. The weather's usually pretty predictable, and it'd be a great opportunity to have a stab at that time. And by going for that time in spring 27, I've still got a lot of time to have another stab at it. So from there, I could drop down again for the summer of 2027, run on the track, focus on the half marathon, sharpen up, maybe even hone that championship racing a little bit more with the 2027 World Championships. If I was to qualify for that, I would definitely take that spot. And then I think it's putting all of my eggs in the basket of a flat, fast marathon at the end of the year. Where could I do that? Where's a really flat, really fast marathon that people go to run PBs right at the end of the year? I don't know, if you've got any suggestions, put it in the comment section. And jokes aside, Valencia is great, but there's loads of fast marathons in the last couple of months of the year. I'm not gonna be short for choice. And then, if I really needed another stab at it, we have time in spring 28. Ideally, you run fast enough, put yourself in front of enough other people that are vying for one of those spots so that you don't have to do a marathon in the spring, personally. But I think starting the plan with the door open to do that at the end if you need to is probably the best idea. So those are races, or some of the races. Obviously, there'll be smaller ones along the way, and each of those will have a purpose. That's the most important thing, is that each race has a purpose. What are we trying to get out of this? How is it getting us steps closer to the ultimate goal? But I also have some weaknesses I need to work on. One of them is apparently getting the camera set up properly. It's really putting me off that I don't have the pictures behind me, and I think I'm gaslighting myself that the camera's not straight because the wall's not straight. Do I need to level it with the wall? I think we're good. And the reason the pictures are gone is because we're moving, which I'm going to talk about in a video very soon. So hit the subscribe button and I'll tell you about that later. Let's talk about weaknesses. Those are the things that want to get in my way and stop me from achieving this. What I need to do is work on them so much that they can become strengths. Or at least not weaknesses, if we're being realistic. One of those I've already touched on, which I think is the racing experience. Not only do I think I need to expose myself into racing scenarios where I have to respond to moves and be outside of my comfort zone of running my own race, I also think I need to expose myself more to that feeling of being really, really uncomfortable in a race, not being sure how it's gonna pan out, and going with it. The fear of the unknown is something that we all want to delete from a race scenario. And I think sometimes that can hold me back. I want so badly to know how I'm gonna do, what's gonna happen, what everyone else is gonna do, and you just can't always know that. I think this summer is gonna help with that a lot because I really wanna park my ego, not only work on my top end speed by doing some track racing, but also just race more and put myself in those scenarios where I have to make decisions, hone my racing craft, and also get used to the feeling of being uncomfortable. And if I can improve my top end speed at the same time, improve my 5K time, improve my 10K time, that's gonna help shift the paces along a little bit. Because if you think about marathon pace as an extrapolation of, like, let's say 10K speed, if I can push the ceiling up because I'm faster over those shorter distances, it could open up a whole another level in the marathon. That's what we're hoping anyway. Nothing is guaranteed because training is literally testing out a recipe that hasn't been printed yet. You're trying to work out if it even works. And another weakness that's specific in this moment, having just come back from an injury, is kind of twofold. I need to get stronger, both in the gym, but also the strength that gives you the resilience in the last 10K over the marathon. That's something that you only get from putting together back-to-back weeks of high volume, intense training, and I haven't done that in a little bit. And the second part of that is having confidence in my body again. Having just experienced an injury that took me out for the longest time ever in my career, I'm a little bit more sensitive to a little ache or pain here and there, and I worry that pushing is going to cause another injury. And unfortunately, to get where I want to get to in this sport, you have to take risks and you have to get as close to that line as you safely can. And so I need to get back into a place where I trust my body and I'm making good decisions, not being reckless, but also not holding myself back through fear of getting injured again. Other than that, it's just stacking the days, stacking the weeks, and stacking the months, because consistency between now and the deadline is going to be the thing that gets me there, or gets me as close as I physically can. And I really want to stay true to what I said at the start of this video, in that all of the smaller decisions and the smaller moments along the way are what compound into bigger decisions, bigger moments, and those ripples are felt, if you like, throughout all of this. It matters that I go to bed on time and get enough sleep every night. It matters that I'm getting good fuel in within 20 minutes of finishing a workout. It matters that I remember to bring my carbs with me for my long runs. All of those decisions, I need to be on the right side of things to be gently moving the needle forwards. Otherwise, I'm not sure how I'd feel if I got to the end of this, didn't make it, and thought, yeah, I could have done more. Want to know something really cool though? Yes, this injury wasn't in my plan, but I do think it's given me a really invaluable experience of going through that, and also a bit of a magnifying lens on what I need to work on. And it's really reassured me that I am doing this because I want to. Having running taken away for a little bit, that fire is burning. And sometimes the opposite can happen. You can take a break and realize, I actually don't want to be doing this. I'm also really grateful for the specific position I'm in right now that's a great springboard to start this plan. I work with a fantastic coach who I have now gone through 3 blocks with. We're learning more about what we need to work on, and he's on board with this plan. It would have been kind of awkward if he wasn't, wouldn't it? I have an incredible wider team around me who all want me to get here, and they're going to help in every way that they can. And I have a new sponsor who have given me the permission to do this my way. They don't see the fact that I am creating videos and have a content career, as well as being a professional athlete, as in any way negative. Because actually, it's not. I wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for creating these videos. I would still be working my 9 to 5 sat in an office. And by working with a brand that doesn't put a ton of constraints on me, isn't telling me which races I should and shouldn't do, and isn't asking me to fit in a box so that I look and sound like all of the other athletes that I'm competing against, is good for me. And there's that age-old saying that a happy athlete is a fast athlete. I think you'll find that's gonna be the case. If you didn't see the video we posted a few weeks ago about the Lululemon partnership and announcing that, please go and check it out. I'm really excited for this 3 years with them that takes me to the Olympics and beyond. And as an added bonus, I get to wear the coolest kit in the game. Those shorts I did my run in earlier, 5 pockets. 5. One of them with a zip at the back for your keys. You could have 2 phones with you if you wanted. Gels, toilet paper, chewing gum. I'm sorted. There's a link at the top of the description to go and check out the Lululemon website. They've got a new launch for spring with loads of leopard print and red. I am obsessed. And if you were to purchase anything through that link, I get a little bit of kickback as well. That's my pencil roadmap for now. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. You're gonna have to stick around to find out, and you're also gonna have to stick around if you want to find out how my track season opener goes in a few weeks. And I'd love to leave it there and finish this by saying, love the grind.